Well, welcome to the show again, Diane. We had you here several months ago to talk about NAMI, the National Alliance, I think it's of mental illness. Is it of mental illness a lot?
It's of, at, for. that preposition changes
NAMI,
from person.
National Alliance for Mental Illness. And so we talked a lot several months ago about what NAMI does and how they help and it as a resource. But today, with this being, I wanted to dedicate several shows because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I wanted to dedicate several shows to the subject of mental health. And today's interview with you is really going to concentrate on some more specific resources for people who are suffering from mental health issues, but also their families to really tap into, because I think people need to know what's out there, and I don't think they know that enough. So we're gonna delve into that. First of all, can you recap a little bit for us, for those people who weren't privy to our previous interview? Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background and about what you do professionally and your family's journey with mental illness? Can you just recap on that a little bit?
Sure. I have been a nurse and a nurse midwife. I delivered babies at Grady until I found my Prince Charming very late in life and began having our own babies. And then I retired to stay home with them full time. They are now 35 and 32.
Wow.
And when they got a little older, I became a drug and alcohol educator. So I know a fair amount about how to prevent drug and alcohol abuse.
Right.
As my sons discovered that they live with bipolar disorder, both of them, and as I retired, I became an active NAMI volunteer. So I've been on the NAMI board. I just finished 6 years of that, 1 year as president, and I have been real active in NAMI as a teacher and support group participant. I teach a class that NAMI offers at no cost. All NAMI services are no cost, by the way.
Wow.
And this class is specifically for family members. It's called Family to Family.
Yes.
And it offers a basic foundational understanding about mental illness, what's going on in the brain when someone has a mental illness, to the extent that we understand it now.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm devoting myself to now.
Yes. Wow. And now, and can you tell us just a little bit about, you shared about the fact that your sons both have bipolar.
Yes, and one of the things we teach in NAMI is that, to the extent that we understand it now, all mental illnesses have two components.
Yes.
One is the component of some sort of genetic history. Somebody somewhere had a mental illness and the genes have been passed down.
That's right.
In our case, we don't know of any family history on either side of bipolar disorder. We have no knowledge of it, but clearly somebody had it somewhere.
Right. That's right. Right.
And then the second component is, and we're going to call it, we don't know yet what it is. Okay. There's a lot of theories about what the second hit is. That's how it's referred to.
Yes.
It could be the intrauterine environment. It could be viruses. It could be viruses that the fetus or the infant encounters after birth. It could be incredible stress. We're hearing about adverse childhood events called ACEs now. And we know that people who've been exposed to very stressful environments young in their life have a greater likelihood of having adult mental illness issues. There are the gut biome, the bacteria that live in the gut can affect our mental health. So there's lots of theories. There's not a lot of clarity yet. There will be one day. Right now, we know it's two things, genetics and something else.
Right.
And we know it's nobody's fault.
Right. I think it's
And
important to
we
talk about
know
that.
we know it's there's nothing to be ashamed of, though
Yes.
shame and silence often accompany this
Yes.
particular
Yes.
physical illness. And that's,
Yes.
again, how we refer to it in NAMI. Mental
Yes.
illness is
Yes.
a physical illness of the
Yes.
brain.
Yes. Yes. I
Nothing
think that
more.
is such an important thing to talk about. As a matter of fact, in another interview that I'll be having with some faith leaders to talk about the church and mental illness and why so many times, you know, church leaders are proponents and advocates of people taking care of their physical health. Yes, you need to go into the cardiologist if you have a heart issue. Yes, you need to go to the endocrinologist if you've got issues with diabetes or such, or anything related to your endocrine system. Yes, you need to do this, you know, go to the podiatrist, and, you know, and God works through medications. But yet somehow when it comes to psychiatric care, the brain, we somehow do some sort of crazy, we think that somehow that's separate and distinct. And we just need to, that somehow the person is morally deficient or have done something wrong, they need to pray it away. It's weird how we do that, Diane.
I think part of it, I
Yeah.
don't know the whole story, but I
Yeah.
think part of it is that for so long, we've known so little.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that it's been easy to attribute mental illness
Yes.
issues to matters of faith or
Yes. Yeah.
religious
Yeah.
purity,
Yeah.
because we don't know a lot about it
Okay.
scientifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's at least an underlying situation.
I do. I think that the ignorance has played a real part in that.
But we're learning more and more day by day. We're just at the beginning stages of really uncovering so much information. So
that's amazing.
And I think our religious leaders could be powerful allies for families and their loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
As it doesn't have to be about just pray it away.
Exactly.
And in my case, I know my faith and my church community has been incredibly important. Our support.
That's wonderful. That is so wonderful. And we need more stories like that, because unfortunately, the stories have been the opposite, where the church is, instead of being a safe place, an advocate for people who are struggling with mental health issues, they've been an unsafe place, unfortunately. But I'm hoping, like you said, as people learn, as our faith leaders learn and get educated, that they will be the safe place that people can go.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So our two sons have bipolar disorder,
right?
And one of them, the younger one, encountered his diagnosis very classically. Oftentimes these illnesses hit in adolescence or young adulthood. And he was away at college his first semester and became very ill very quickly. He was fine 1 minute, so to speak, and in a lockdown psychiatric unit.
Oh, wow.
6 months later.
Wow.
So it normally you see a real clear transition from well to ill.
Gotcha. Wow.
But with our older son, he was diagnosed with depression at the age of puberty, onset of puberty, somewhere around 11 or 12.
Okay.
And no medicine ever really helped, but he had some really good years with a wonderful job that he had that was challenging and required a lot of engagement and physical activity, and he loved it. And he still had depression off and on, but he could deal with it.
Okay.
And then at 28, he became psychotic. He lost touch with reality.
Okay.
And at that point, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Gotcha.
And I remember feeling actually jubilant. It was like, okay, now that we have the correct diagnosis, I'm sure we're going to find the correct medicine.
Yes.
Well, the problem was the manic side, the rapid, irritable, grandiose side of bipolar is pretty easily controlled.
Okay.
My son just takes a tablet every day that controls that side.
Okay.
But for him, the long-standing depression was not relieved with any additional treatments that were available because of bipolar. And so he has since had a clinical trial of IV ketamine, which did not phase him.
Okay.
He had electroconvulsive therapy, which helped a little bit for a few months.
Okay.
And he just a week ago had the next available treatment, which is called vagus nerve stimulation.
Wow.
And a small device, kind of like a heart pacemaker, is placed in the chest near the collarbone. And then wires are run under the skin and wrapped around a big nerve that runs from the length of our body.
Yes. Wow. Wow.
And he will be, it'll take weeks or maybe even months to ramp up the appropriate amount of electrical impulse. This device was, or this treatment was discovered kind of accidentally, as I understand it. It was initially a treatment for the extra movements that are part of Parkinson's disease.
Wow.
A lot with those. And it also been found to help with treatment-resistant epilepsy. It can manage and kind of inadvertent disorders that had not found any other relief. So we are just at the beginning. Tomorrow he will see a psychiatrist and begin the ramp-up process.
Sure.
Surgery fine.
Right. That's great. That's
I'm so glad there are still options.
And that's what I was going to say. That's amazing. And I think that as I listen to you talk, I'm amazed at the various advances that they've made in the last 30, 40, 50 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're so fortunate.
Yeah.
In an earlier era, he would have been, there would have been no options for him.
That's right.
And he's lost the last 7 years of his life. The depression has been so paralyzing. He really needs our full-time support. That's something we'll talk about too, family support. So now I wanted, and that's the thing, I wanted to talk about some other kinds of resources for people to tap into, for people that live in Metro Atlanta and Georgia, but also some of these resources are available. I want to make sure people understand that in other states. It's just a matter of tapping into that in your state. So I want to make that clear. So first, let's talk about community service boards. What is a community service board? How do they help people who have mental health issues? Community service boards vary from county to county. That's one basic understanding. So in a county like DeKalb, where I am, the community there's enough population here that the community service board provides on-site inpatient care for persons who are in a mental health crisis or a substance abuse crisis, or both. So you can call the community service board. There are enough people in DeKalb County who don't have any insurance whatsoever.
I see.
That DeKalb County Community Service Board limits its care to people who don't have any insurance.
Gotcha.
So, but every community service board functions a little bit differently and has different services. Some probably provide care for people who do have insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, or private. I encourage folks who have any issues for any kind of health concern to investigate your community service board and see what outpatient services they may offer and what inpatient services they might offer. They are a wonderful resource.
They are, and I had no idea that they even existed. As a longtime DeKalb County resident, I had no idea that there was such a thing as a community until our adult daughter started having mental health issues. And because she has already aged out of our insurance, we were looking for options, and that's when I came across that. So I didn't know what they were.
Both of our sons have at various points predominantly for the younger one before he was able to get SSI disability.
Yes. Right.
We accessed Community Service Board here in DeKalb County for him and for the older one.
Wow.
I don't want to overlook Grady as a wonderful resource.
Wonderful resource. Yes.
If you have ongoing concerns and don't have income or insurance, it's worth your time to go ahead and get a Grady card so that you can establish financial need before you need it in a crisis. But they have wonderful mental health outpatient services and inpatient services.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to, I'm glad you weaved that in. I was going to ask you about DeKalb Regional Crisis Center, which, we've been talking about DeKalb, and they have they have, of course, their own crisis center, but Grady, which we have used, has a wonderful outpatient and inpatient services.
Exactly. And my son got very loving care there.
Definitely.
Twice. And then the younger son goes to a specialized clinic there that is working on making available a particularly older form of treatment that had fallen out of use.
Yes.
But it's turning out that it's really a wonderful resource for people with persistent delusional thoughts or those kinds of things. So Grady has some very good resources.
I love that. And I think, I love that you mentioned the word love, because I came away with that feeling of love and when they cared for my daughter. It was, and I was surprised because it's such an enormous institution. Grady is. I mean, just when you go there, it's, if you've ever been there, physically been on the premises, it's humongous. It's like its own city. And when I look up at it, for some reason I think of Gotham City, in Batman. But the loving care that she received was just phenomenal, and I was actually thrilled that they were able to give that to her.
Yes.
So that's a good resource. Now, can you now with the input, why would someone need? I think it's important that that we go there. Why would someone need an inpatient service versus an outpatient? I mean, what has to be happening there for you to be considered an inpatient, or for you to need inpatient care, I guess is what I'm asking.
It's basically my loved ones in crisis. Either they've lost touch with reality, they're psychotic, they're potentially a danger to themselves or someone else, or perhaps they've gotten off their medication that once provided some stability for them, and they are now unstable and need to be back in a place where they can be monitored for getting stabilized on medication, either something they've had before or maybe a new medicine. So it's a more protective environment for them, and it's a place that medications can be monitored so that the healthcare people can see, is this one working? Is this one helping?
Exactly.
Now, the problem is, and this is nationwide, it's not just Georgia or DeKalb County. Nationwide, the pressure is on all healthcare facilities to get the person stabilized to a minimal extent, and then send them back out into the community to their home. And that's unfortunate, and I hope it will change, because it can take much longer than 7 or 9 or 9 days, to find the right medicine and get persons stable. And there comes in the need for the family to be educated and to know how best to interact with their loved one. And that's why any of the mental health organizations, and there are many very good ones that address all the many issues that need to be addressed about mental health care. NAMI is the one I know best, so I speak of it often, but there are other wonderful ones. And I encourage family members to find an organization, get some education, learn how you can best support your loved one, both with the knowledge that you need about mental health, and with the communication techniques that you will need in order to support your loved one.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It does make a difference. I know
it
just
makes a difference.
in
we
learning.
Have to speak with dignity and respect.
Definitely.
But we also have to be able to set firm,
boundaries,
clear boundaries.
Absolutely. And it's a fine line.
It's a fine line, and we won't ever get it perfect all the time.
But we
have to have a lot of forgiveness for ourselves and others. But our ability to support our loved one after they leave a crisis situation is what will move them along to long-term stability. And then we can even call it recovery.
Oh, wow.
Not cure.
I understand.
This is a chronic illness that will never go away.
Right.
But it can be treated, and you can accomplish stability and recovery. And recovery means, there's a lot of ways to define it. One of my favorite definitions lately that I've come across is the 3 Ps. Purpose. Place. People.
Oh, wow.
You've got people in your life that you love and that love you. You've got a place to live that's safe and that you enjoy. And you have a purpose. Now, it may not be the same purpose that you had for your life before the illness.
I love that.
But you can still have a purpose that's meaningful and that contributes to the world.
I love that. The 3 Ps: purpose, people, and a place. Wow.
So look for that and speak of that to your loved one.
I love that.
Help me help you accomplish the life you want.
Oh my goodness, so, that'll preach any day. I'm
preaching it because it's so easy to lose hope. It's so easy to lose hope. And I encourage you to put yourself around people who can help you keep hope alive.
I love that. I so love that. That is going to stay with me this day and going forward. For me personally, I love that. So now, what other, you mentioned that we talked about some outpatient care places.
Outpatient means just the weekly visits to a therapist, and our loved ones need someone to talk to who can hear them. They need a safe place that's, our sons talk to us.
I understand.
A place outside of a family member.
Sure.
And then the outpatient visits to the physician or the mid-level practitioner who's providing the prescriptions that our loved ones need in order to stay stable.
Those
are outpatient. Inpatient, our goal is to minimize the number of times that our loved one has to be inpatient. So for one of our sons, it's been 3 times. For the other one, it was 5 times. And one of them hasn't been hospitalized since 2014.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing. If you had told me in 2012, 2013, 2014, that would be his last hospitalization.
Wow.
I would
that's success right there.
It's possible.
It's possible. That's such an encouragement. Now, what is Smart 911? Are you familiar with that?
That is, I want to talk about that because it can assuage some of our fears when we have to get crisis folks involved in our loved ones' care, when we have to debate, do we call 911? Smart 911 means registering my loved one's presence in our house or wherever they live. And the medicines they take, their diagnosis, registering that ahead of time with 911 services so that if their name is ever mentioned as part of a crisis call, that information comes right up immediately to the 911 operator and then to the public safety officers that are involved, so they know right away what the deal is. Now, we always encourage people, if you're calling 911 or anybody for crisis intervention services, let them know it is a mental health call. Let them know my loved one is in crisis right now. You know, you want to give them information, but smart 911 means even if they're out on the street somewhere, or, you know, somewhere not where I'm calling, this information is readily available. It will give the people who are trying to help our loved one information that is critical for getting this person to services. I don't know that every county in Georgia has this. I do know that DeKalb County has it, but I would check into it if you're in any other county.
Okay,
it may
that's
be
good to know. That's
Smart 911. Look it up on the computer.
We will make sure we give that, put that information out there. And our time together is almost wrapped up, but can you talk a little bit about, and I've had occasion to deal with this, but I want you to speak to this. How can a mobile crisis response unit help somebody that's having an emergency?
Yes. In Georgia, we have the wonderful services that are shortened to call it GCAL. Georgia Crisis and Access Line is what that stands for. And we really teach people in NAMI, and I think everybody teaches this, call GCAL if it's a non-life-threatening situation.
Gotcha.
If you just have a person who's acting out or who's clearly psychotic, but not a danger to themselves or someone else, get the Georgia Crisis and Access Line involved. They will assess the situation. They can send out folks to talk to your loved one. They will even take your loved one. They will. Hopefully voluntarily,
that's
into an inpatient unit if they deem that it's necessary.
That's true.
If it's a life-threatening situation, then certainly call 911. And get hopefully CIT trained, crisis intervention trained police officers involved. They will come in and know to de-escalate the situation by being very calm, very non-threatening person who's in crisis. But again, if it's a non-life-threatening situation, we have trained behavioral health providers that can speak to our loved one on the phone or even come out in person within a short amount of time. An hour is their goal at the max. Call them. GCAL's number is 800-715-4225.
Well, I'll make sure to put that on the screen as well. That's great. That's a great resource. And we've had occasion to use them, and they are everything you just said.
We've used them too, and they were wonderful. They were not able to convince my son to go back for inpatient care, but they spent a long time with him and were very kind and very helpful.
So many. It's wonderful that there are more resources. I know we have a long way to go, but I have personally been encouraged by the services that we have received through DeKalb County and Grady Services. And I've told many people that, and you know, I think people don't believe me, but I'm like, we've been walking this walk for 4 years, and I've been super encouraged by what I've seen. It's been hard and difficult, but I've also been encouraged.
Yes. For many other resources, I can point you to in a non-urgent situation, please look on the NAMI-DeKalb.org website. There you will see a tab called Resources, and under that tab is the contents of a booklet that we make available. It's 100+ pages. Many resources all over Georgia or even national. And you can access that for free and learn an awful lot of things that are available.
Is this the book?
That's the book.
That's it. Love this book. I keep it right here in my office, close to me.
Great. Great.
That's great. Well, you know what, Diane, there's so much to talk about. We've covered a good bit of information today, which I think is going to be incredibly helpful to our listeners. I know people who specifically have asked me to do this kind of a program. So I know people are looking for information. And I just, I'm so thrilled that I was able to tap into you and into all the information you have.
Certainly, I'd like to really encourage people to be aware of this summer's rolling out of the new 988 number also. That's going to be national as a way to, instead of calling 911 as the first option, it'll be the shorthand number for mental health, suicide, substance abuse crisis services, 988. The rollout is going to occur this summer.
Right.
Give it time. People have reminded me that 911 took a couple of years to get all the bumps smoothed out of it.
Right.
But what we want to do is start to separate the criminalization of mental health issues from the public safety sector, so that we can get the services instead of putting people in jail necessarily.
I love that. That's great. That's a big achievement to have come.
Yes, it is.
That's a big achievement. And so that's 988. That's going to roll out this summer.
Yes.
That's correct. Now, remind me again of the 3 Ps. I was right. I wrote down. I remember the purpose. I remember
people. Yeah, purpose is great. People first. Do I have people that I'm connected to?
Okay, wow.
And if I don't, how can a family support me in starting to make those connections?
Gotcha.
Because isolation is often a problem for a person's mental health illness. Definitely. So place, do I have a place I can live that's safe and that I consider mine?
Wow.
And then finally, purpose.
Wow. That's
so wonderful. Look for those to define and shape.
Yes.
Recovery.
Wow. All of those equate with the recovery. I love how you've redefined recovery, because like you said, recovery and successful living may look very different than it was before you had the illness. But so I think it's important to redefine that.
It's important to redefine it and to know it is possible.
Definitely.
It is possible to live a fulfilling life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Even with a mental health chronic illness.
Wow, what a message of hope. And that's a wonderful place to stop and land on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. You are a breath of fresh air, and continue to do what you do. We need you and more people like you.
Thank you so much, Deanna.
All right, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.